Hey everybody, welcome back. We are working on our book that I still haven't named using Splendor from my mind's eye. And basically it's a place to keep track of all your sort of home stuff. I feel like you're a little crooked. Hang on. How's that? Is that better? You know, your bills, your cleaning schedule, shopping lists, all those kind of things. So today we are going to start with what's going to be page 1 for me, but you should probably think in terms of, you know, it's going to go here, you know, what's going to work best for you, where you want your various pages. So what I have here is a piece of lightweight cardboard. It's actually a cereal box, and I've covered the front with some of my decorative paper. And what I'm going to do is add this tiny little pocket to the front. Oops, did I cut it too long? Oh, no, that's not where the pocket's going. Hang on. This tiny little pocket is going here. Okay. To the very front of the page at the bottom. And then, hang on, I'm just checking my kitten was in here trying to chew on electrical cords a second ago, and she's back, but she seems to be all right. Okay, so this is going to go here, and we can go ahead and do that first, and then I'll talk to you about these other little bits that I've got floating around my desk. So to make the pocket, you need a piece. You're going to have to measure your book because everything's going to be slightly different. Mine is 9 1/4 by 1 1/2. And again, I'm using whatever scraps I can for this, so we don't have to cut any more paper. So just measure your book, and just make sure, you know, measure the distance from the this little score mark to the outer edge, add a 1/2 inch, and then maybe deduct a 1/16 to 1/8 so you can keep it away from being too close to that edge. Okay? And then you're going to take your piece, score it on the 2 short ends, one of the long ends, and trim the corners the way I have. Okay? Then I'm going to put the sides in, put a little dot of glue. Sorry, I can hear her, and I'm like, what on earth is she getting into now? Having young kittens is like having toddlers, although she's not, I mean, they're not babies anymore. They're about 9 months old now. Okay, and then I'm going to put this piece right down here at the bottom, okay? And let me see, I've cut a mat for this, so I just want to, this is going to be the mat. And I just cut a full-size mat because this pocket was so tiny, and I may need to trim it after, but it's fine. So we're going to glue here. And then this is going to go right on the bottom of this page and put it all the way to the outside, and just, you'll see you're going to have a gap there, but that's all right. I just don't want to interfere with our binding that we went to so much trouble to make lay flat and have a pocket interfere with it. Okay, good. Now I have our mat, and let's see if it fits. I probably need to trim it. Let's see. Oh, that's not bad at all. Just looking, I think I'm going to trim just a tiny bit from the edge. Sorry, having another fight with her. All right, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. All right. Again, this is Splendor from my mind's eye, and it's super pretty. I'm just going to ink this. Oh, and I'll give you measurements. But again, you're going to need to measure all your things yourself because your own construction is going to affect the size of your pieces. Okay, and this has the swans on the back. It's really pretty. Oh, and that was walnut stain that I was inking with. All right, so that's, this piece is 8 1/8 by 6 1/2. Okay. Let's just slide that in. And go. And we'll come back and do something decorative on that pocket. Okay, so now we have our pocket, and then we have our piece of cereal box that I mentioned earlier that is just shy of 8, so it's about 8 by 6 1/8. And this is going to fit in that little pocket, just like that. Okay, so now on this, let me move this to the side. So we have the front of this, so we have the back. I haven't covered the back yet because I have to put a couple of pieces on first. So this piece here is from the edge of the paper. Let me see if I have, okay, this is a different one, but you can see they have these pretty pieces that show what's on the other side. And I just trimmed that off, and that's what this is. And what happens with this is, and I didn't even measure this, I just laid it on my piece, wrapped it around the back, and cut it to fit. And it's going to go down near the bottom. And I think what I'm going to do is wait and put that piece on in a minute. And then I have this pretty pink seam binding. And what this is going to do, let me bring it out. This is going to hold our calendar. And I'm going to have this piece at the bottom as a stop. Right? And then I'm going to have the ribbon in the corners to tuck the little calendar under. So I want to make sure these are even. I'm going to turn it over and get my ruler and something to make a mark with. So that's about 1 inch. So if we put the top of this ribbon 1 inch this way and that, I don't know if you could see what I was doing, but I'm making a mark 1 inch in. I made a mark here and a mark there. And then I'm going to make sure that's the top. And then 1 inch here. And 1 inch here. There. All right. I just want to make sure the ribbon looks straight. And let's get some, I'm going to use score tape. Move all this stuff so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take the ribbon, lay it on my work surface, and I'm going to arrange this so that those two marks, you see that the ribbon is at this mark and at this mark, okay? And I'm just going to put, oh, you know what, I don't want that quite so close to there. That's all right, I'm just going to push it back a little bit. And then, oh, you know what, hang on. me just scrape that off. It's gonna be, you won't see it. I just realized that I put the tape in the wrong angle. Actually, what I'm thinking is, I think I'll put the tape on the back of the ribbon itself, or the seam binding. If I can get that off, that would be good. Hang on. This is going to be held down more firmly later, but just for now. Oops. And then you want to pull it firmly and secure it down. Okay. Then, where's my scissors? Just like that. Okay, I'll trim that extra. So now we have a ribbon there. So let's just repeat this. This is just like wrapping a Christmas present if you've done that with this kind of ribbon, or with this angled ribbon in the corners. I'll just pull that down. I don't want too much extra. Okay. And again, we'll make sure that's in the right spot with our mark. One. All right, so there's that. And this is curling up a little bit, but I think once I get all the other things on it, it'll flatten out. So then this is going to go here. And this is just a calendar that I went into my spreadsheet program, and it was a pre-designed calendar. And I just printed it on, you know, normally a calendar would print landscape. I printed it portrait and then stopped it down a little bit in size so that it would be narrow enough to fit my 8.5 inch piece. Okay, and if you don't want to do that, Tamara has some calendar files on the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations Facebook page that you could download. Or you could just purchase a small calendar and rip out the calendar. Okay, so now what I need, I don't want this to slide out. So I need to glue this little piece that I made as a stopper, and I think I can eyeball it where it's gonna go. Let me take this out. And it's going to go just about this height here. So I'm not going to put a lot of glue on this. I'm not going to put any glue if I don't take the pin out. So just right along this bottom edge. And don't worry about the going around the back, because we'll just get that in a second. And if you want to measure it, by all means measure it. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay. And that's not too bad. It's not perfectly straight, but it's fine. And then you're going to take it around to the back and just glue that. Okay. Don't worry, we're gonna make the back of this look nice. All right. I think. And just gonna press that over a little bit. There we go. There. All right, and then this, you can just slide in there. Oh, just try not to grab it with your fingernail like I just did. Okay. I think I may need to loosen that up a little bit. What you can do is just, once you've taken things in and out of there a few times, it'll loosen up on its own. But I'm gonna grab, here it is. This is the end of my tool that I used to score with. And actually, you probably want to take this out before you do it, but just slide it in there and go back and forth a little bit. But you're probably not going to be taking your calendar out of here once it's in there until you're ready to switch months. There we go. All right. So there's our front of our calendar page, right? And then what we're going to do on the back is we're going to put a larger pocket on the back that you can put your extra calendars in or any other little notes that you want. Let me see if I have, I thought I put 2 calendars. I did. I put April in there, but here's March. I haven't trimmed it down to size yet. But like you could tuck this in the pockets on the back. All right. Again, I'm using a scrap. Where's my ruler? I'll get rid of some of these things so our space looks a little neater. And you're going to cut your pocket 4 1/4 by 8 7/8. Yeah, 4 1/4 by 8 7/8. Let me put my pin in my glue bottle. And again, you're going to score the 2 short ends at 1/2 inch and 1 long end. And just trim out the corners. Like that. And there. And there. Okay. Test fit and make sure I have it the right size, and I do. That looks good. So, pardon me. There we go. And there we go. And this goes on the bottom. Stuck my hand in the glue. We'll pick something out pretty for this pocket. That's got to be flat, so it'll probably just be a mat. Okay. Just burnish that really well. your bone folder for that. Okay, clean up some of this. All right, now I have this piece that I was going to use to mat that. And I just need to trim it to the size I want. So I think I'm going to take it to 3.5 because it just needs to tuck in, maybe 4. If it's too short, things might catch on it. So I'm going to cut it to 4 inches by 7 3/4. Okay, let's see how that goes. Yeah, that'll be fine. The only thing is, you can see my little pencil marks for those ribbons. Let's see if I can erase those, so be careful with yours. Okay, good enough. Here we go. And I'm going to ink this again with walnut stain. You don't have to ink the bottom, it's not going to be seen. You don't need to put too much glue near the bottom. You don't want to risk gluing the pocket closed. Okay. Before I press that down, make sure I'm, there we go. Oops. Trim this calendar down a little. I'm not sure this is actually one that I printed to the size I want. All right, so this would be, so I don't know how much we're going to fit in here, but it'll be enough to get at least either your previous months, probably your previous months and your next months in there, so that you can see what's going on. And again, we'll decorate that. And this is going to just slide right in there. That way you can take it out, write on it, do whatever you need to do, and then put it back in. And you will have seen the introduction to this video, so you'll have seen the finished project, so you know exactly what this is. But up to this point, I haven't been 100% sure what it was going to be. I had some ideas, I had some thoughts about it, and I knew I wanted this page this way, so I had no problem getting that started. But at that point, I needed to really hone in on exactly what I wanted this book to be. And I knew it was going to track, basically, a year, hence the calendar. But a year of what? And it kind of in the back of my head, it was sort of like a year of sort of homekeeping kind of thing. But then I was like, well, who wants a year of cleaning and cooking, right? You want a year of your family. But, I mean, my December weekly even doesn't have a single picture in it. But I thought if I did a year in the life of your family, or whatever you want, wouldn't be too difficult in this book, because you'd have your year here where you would put for each day, or any day that you did something special maybe, or whatever, you could jot down quickly what you'd done. And then you could do, you know, January, February, March, April, etc., etc. And then you'd only need a couple of pictures just to indicate something that had happened in that particular month, and some room for journaling, and maybe a flip out or a pocket for some pictures or something like that. So that's where we're going with this. And of course you will have seen the finished project by now, so you knew that. But I hadn't really narrowed it down until this morning. And also, I believe I mentioned to you in our last video that I thought I was coming down with a cold, and I have come down with a cold, so I'm just going to apologize now for my raspy voice, and I'm going to try not to sniffle too much. But because this is using a lot of paper, and that was something else I want to talk to you about, but I'll get to that. Because it's using a lot of paper, I wanted to go ahead and cut the big pieces for my cover right now and get that done. So I picked this page and then this little piece for this part of the spine. I haven't picked the actual spine piece, and then I'm going to use this on the back. And I'm trying to decide if I want to ink this or not. Because it is white, it's not like it's got a contrasting edge. Like this has a white core. I guess I will, but just a little bit. And this is walnut stain. Anyway, about the paper. So I also found myself making a lot of decisions based on, well, you know, this is using so much cardstock, and, you know, I don't want to put a big pocket here because it'll use too much cardstock. And then I thought, well, you know what? Cardstock is like $1 a sheet. Yes, it's not cheap to buy a lot of cardstock, but I don't want to compromise my album just because of that. So it's going to take more than one pack, most likely anyway. So I'm just going to do what I want to do, and, you know, my next project I'll try to do something that doesn't use so much cardstock, okay? Alright, so I'm just going to start with this one since I have it in my hand. Now if you only have so much design paper, of course you have to accommodate however much design paper you have. And I do have a limited amount of this given the size of the book, but we'll have enough, and I'll show you. Now if you like the contrast, depending on the color you made your base out of, you don't even have to matte this, but I'm going to. Left it a little long. Well, you know what, it's fine. And then I'm going to put this here like that. Excuse me, I will probably edit that out, but just in case I forget, it's my cold. Today is St. Patrick's Day. And I have a family coming for the traditional corned beef and cabbage dinner. So, but I have a few minutes before they get here. And in case I didn't mention it, this is my design team project for Country Craft Creations. And Tamara sent me this beautiful collection called Splendor from my mind's eye. And it came with, and if I haven't, I've probably already showed you, but it came with a lot of sort of planner kind of things. And I think that's what led me to wanting to do a yearly kind of thing. And I didn't really want to do a planner because they're so personal. Everybody has sort of their own way of tracking that stuff. I use a traveler's notebook, and I may use, if we have much left from this, I may go ahead and do maybe some dashboards or something for a traveler's notebook, and I'll show you how to do that if I do. But anyway, I think I like what I've come up with, because I think anybody could put 1 or 2 pictures each month in a book. It doesn't doesn't take any time. I haven't picked what I'm going to do there. It kind of depends what I have left. I don't know which is top and which is bottom. I don't think there is a top and bottom on this. And you can see with the inking, I'm just lightly knocking back the white that's in the core of the paper. I'm not inking it heavily at all. Pulling that more towards myself. Oh, gosh, this bottle of glue is just driving me crazy. It's such thin line of glue, which on the one hand is good, but when you have to do these big pieces, it's kind of a pain. Make sure you don't get too close up into that spine. You can see I've left a much narrower reveal of the cardstock than I typically do. Well, that's all crooked, but that's all right. I just really wanted this paper to show. All right, and then here, oh, pardon me, hiccup. Here, I'm most likely going to put a pocket, and I haven't decided yet exactly. And then here, of course, we already did. That's our calendar. And then I've cut mats. And what I was thinking is I would put, because I didn't want to use too much paper, all of the mats are 6 inches, and that's a little short, but that's okay, because what I thought I would do is in the spot that I've left, I'll put the label for that month. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick flip through of what I think I'm going to do for the pages, and then this is just the matting. I'm definitely going to add some flips and some pockets, but these are the mats I'm pretty sure that I'm going to use, and I'm going to do them, I think, the same on each one lower, one higher. That's that one. And I think this with the stripe is so pretty. And if you want, you can go ahead and wait until we get to each page, just in case I change my mind. But I just wanted to give you an idea. And I haven't picked these last two. And then we'll still have a back page for like a year in review maybe, or just one big group photo. And then maybe another pocket or something back here. So that's what I'm thinking. But at least we got our covers on, which looks good. All right, so I'm gonna cut some things for what will be our January, February spread, and I will be right back. I am going to insert this little section of video into the episode, because apparently the video where I showed you how to do the flaps either didn't record or something. So let me briefly show you that. Every single page is going to be done the same, so I'm just going to demonstrate with January. This is a side pocket insert, which we'll do later. So every page is going to get a flap. And these flaps are made from the leftovers that you have from cutting earlier. So you should have some pretty long pieces, 12-inch long pieces probably, that are fairly wide. Like this one was 4.5. And what you want to do is cut a flap for every single page that is 6 3/4 inches tall by about 4.5
but go with what you've got for scraps. So in other words, the ones on these pages might be 4.5, and then maybe this one looks like it's just probably a hair less than 4.5. But just go with what you've got for scraps. Don't cut new pieces. As long as the ones on each side are the same size, like on the spread, it's not going to matter if these two are 1/4 of an inch smaller. Just make sure the ones on each of the facing pages are the same size. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take your strip that you've cut. I don't have one because I've used all mine, I think. Let me just grab a piece. Okay, so let's say that this was your flap. You want to take it, put it in your scoreboard. Just move that out. Put it in your scoreboard. Grab your scoring tool. Right, and score one of the long edges. So you put the short edge across the top. Score one of the long edges at 1/2 inch. Right, and then you're going to take, this is just like every other flap we've ever made. Trim the corners. And then I took my 1/2 inch corner rounder and rounded the corners. You can see here that the corners are rounded, and you'll do the same with the mats. So just fold and burnish. And then this is just laid right on top of the page, right at the end. So just put glue here and glue it on, okay? Just like that. And then you're going to do that for all of these matched pages. Let me go ahead and put my side pocket insert back in. And then, pardon me, when you get to last November and December, what I did is, because I didn't have the double flap here, so you have two choices. You can go ahead, this is a side pocket insert again. What I did is I put a much wider one here because I knew I would have a lot more pictures in November. So the November one I cut 5 1/4 wide, and the December one I believe I cut 5 1/4 wide also, yes. And then if you want, because there's no side pocket insert here, after you get your side pocket insert made for this one, and before you mat that one, if you want, you could measure this flap, and it would be 5 by 6, give or take. And then if you want, before you mat this, you could glue another flap on top of it so it looks the same as this one, which I did not do. I just left the single flap. But that's how you do the flaps, okay? So I'm just inserting this right now in the video because the footage is missing. So you can see how to do that, okay? And now I'm going to resume with the previous video. Okay, I've added the flaps, and what I wanted to tell you, hopefully before you've added yours, is when you get to the back, this is the inside back cover and the back page, you can go ahead and do the same flaps, but what I did is I had these wider pieces left, and they're 5 1/4 wide, and I'm going to make my flaps for these two out of that wider one, and that's, for the back cover, it's going to need to be 7 inches tall. And the reason for that is this is November and December, and I don't know about in your house, but in my house, we take a lot of pictures in November and December, and I feel like I cut this, oh, I'm going backwards, this is the long one. So I just thought that would leave a little extra space, and also since the back cover is a little larger, the scale would be better. All right, so I haven't put those two in yet. So what you have now is you're going to have your inside front cover is going to have a pocket. Now we have our calendar. And then, so in here we're going to have January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and November and December. Okay. Once we've got all our flaps on, now we want to add the large mats. And we looked at these earlier, but let me give you the measurements again. You're going to cut them 6 inches, that way you can get 2 out of each, pardon me, out of each of your pieces of paper. So 6 inches by 8 1/4, except the last one, this one here, which you're going to cut 6 3/4 by 8 3/4. Now, I know that these are too short, but don't worry, I've got a plan for that, okay? So I'm just gonna put all of these down, and make sure you save all your little scraps, because there's not gonna be a lot left for us to do everything else. And we're gonna stretch it a little bit with some colored cardstock, okay? And this is walnut stain. I'm going to stagger these, so I put this one down low, and I'm going to put this one up higher, so that the space is staggered. You can do them both down low if you prefer, both up high, you know, strictly to your taste. Okay. And don't worry about this gap, okay? There's a plan for that gap, all right? And I did decide not to use magnets. If you want to use magnets, go ahead and put them under the mat. I'm just going to use paper clips or something to hold them closed, or even nothing. I feel like this is a fairly expensive book already with the amount of cardstock that we used, and I didn't want to add to that, you know, having to put in, you know, I forget, I don't even know what it would be, but 24 magnets or something.
Okay, so now we've got the base done. And again, we're going to put a pocket here, which we'll do later. My original plan was I was going to put a piece of either cardstock or a scrap of the paper here, and I still might on some of them, and then put the month. But what I've been thinking is, let me see if I can, because I'd like to now put the months here on these closed flaps, but I have the washi tape that comes with the collection, and I'm thinking that that might look nice instead of scraps, and then you could sort of play with it and use a couple of different layers of the washi. Let me see, let's just, this washi is sheer, so you'd have to decide. I almost feel like I need to pull that further down. You know what? Hang on. Where's my scrap? I can't see the edge of the page. There we go. And then you could cut it, or you could just tear it. Washi tape tears really well if you've got a hard edge, which I think at my little ruler here. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Okay, and then let's see, I've got, I think I'll use the same one down here, and again I need my this one. And we're going to use the roses. Now we have all of our bases done. We need to make that pocket. And then we need to work on our flaps and our inside side pocket inserts and our photo mats. So we still have a little ways to go, but we've got the whole foundation of the book is done. All right. All right, I think we'll end there. And then we'll continue on in the next one with that pocket and working on our flaps. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this project, and I will see you next time. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit the like button and the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.